Come on in, guys. Welcome to Plz Survive, a Survivor 50 podcast. I'm Rob Schulte, a casual Survivor watcher.
I'm Jessica. I am the super fan wearing my buff tonight.
And I'm Molly. I have never seen Survivor, so I guess I'd be a newbie.
Hey, we all got to start somewhere, Molly. Jessica, I know I've seen... Look, we've talked about Survivor before, and you blew me right out of the water. That's what made me realize I am a casual watcher, because I'll go to work sometimes and be like, oh, Survivor's great. This is why you got to watch it. And everyone's like, Survivor, that show from like 2000? You're like, no, it's great. And then I had a conversation with you, and I was like, I know absolutely nothing about this show. Purple
Yeah, I mean,
Kelly.
I Purple Kelly's an icon. I used to be like that too until about 3 years ago, when I picked it back up and managed to watch all 49 seasons over the last 3 years.
It is great. Like, I mean, it is a fun one to just have on. I'll tell you that.
I mean, I've rewatched a few of them, a few of the seasons. So yeah.
That's awesome. Molly, this is your first foray into Survivor. And look, I don't think any of us realized this initial episode was going to be 3 hours long. So maybe just putting a pin in the 3-hourness of it.
I was scared when I saw that. I was like, oh, what did I commit to exactly? Because I'm always down to watch a new reality show. That's kind of how we came across this idea. We decided to podcast about special forces of all shows. It somehow all of this came out during one of the recordings, and I was down. I'm in, but I did not commit to my knowledge a 3-hour a week show. I almost panicked when I saw that today. I said I would have ended this all if I thought that this was 3
Yeah.
hours a week.
And I'm taking you two with me. But maybe, Jess, could you let us know, like, why Survivor 50 is a big deal? Because we could potentially be getting people tuning into this podcast who are ready for our type of dynamic that are maybe watching for the first time, like Molly.
Sure. Well, first thing that I would say is what makes it different is not in the hands of the fans. That's not really gonna be what, sets this apart. Throughout the first 40 seasons of Survivor, there were a number of returning player seasons, beginning with season 8, where they did Survivor All-Stars, which Jenna Lewis was on. And then season 40 had Winners at War, where they brought back, I believe it was 20 past winners, to battle for, the ultimate survivor. And then since then, we've had this thing called the New Era, which has been panned a lot. But one of the features of the New Era is that we haven't had a returning player season. Basically, like, every person with a pulse on the internet who watches Survivor has been begging for a return player season. I mean,
But let me
obviously.
ask,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry, I was just going to say, but like, what does it mean when we say new era? Because even I, as a casual person, I'm like, was that just like more idols? Like, what really differentiates those two? And I don't want to get bogged down in like the
Sure.
nuances, but I think this is important for new watchers.
The, classic Survivor 1 through 40 was 39 days, except for Australian Outback, which ended up being 42 days. But it was 39 days. And once the pandemic happened, uh, shortened to 26 days. Mm, that's a lot. Maybe it doesn't sound like a big difference, but in terms of like tribe dynamics, there's like always a competition. There's either like a reward competition one day or an elimination one day. There's not just like these like team tribe building scenes where they have to, go hunt for food or whatever. Um, Also, because of the 39 days, the tribes used to start off with rice. They were just like given rice. And now, sort of to handicap them, they don't award rice. And so, like
They have to
purists,
hunt.
Well, the thing is that, hunting has stopped because it is so physically, like, exerting that,
Mm.
finding, like, a guppy of a fish isn't enough to sustain a whole tribe, so no one bothers to do that anymore, but,
Okay.
we're not getting the great scenic shots of past because of that.
Yeah, and I guess that would mean like, and we'll get into this, but when they're like building shelter and stuff, the old school players are really focused on building their shelters, whereas the new school players are kind of like, well, at any moment, Jeff could change our team. So why am I going to waste time building a shelter if I'm going to get moved to a different part of the island next Tuesday, you know?
Yeah, and one other thing to note is that, prior to, season 40, the locations changed. So we would have, like,
Yeah.
Panama, we would have Gabon, we would have China, like, all over, and now every single season is shot in Fiji. If you Google Maps it, you can actually see the obstacle courses. Um
Wow. Well, wait, I wanna
Yeah.
say, not to be like, but no, I have to be a newbie, I'll just be a newbie.
Yeah, be the
I
noob.
picked up on maybe a little bit of this difference, speaking of building, like, a shed or something, when Colby was building the little shack and the
Mhm.
Rizzler or whatever was
Yeah,
there
yeah.
and
Riz
sort of
God.
being like, kind of because I just was I'm like, "Poor Colby," like, when a younger person there's a couple moments like this with him, when a younger person is like, "So, like, kinda like the new rules are just, like, tell people what you're good at, because like I might not know, and it's just such like it's such a kid explaining something so basic to an adult that it's insane, but also you could tell that maybe this came up in the context of Colby, of there being a big difference in how things used to be played versus how they're played now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That and also, Rizzo's sort of notorious at, sucking at challenges and also not doing any work around camp. So,
Yeah.
like that was a perfect combination of Colby and somebody who is like, I want to be at one with the earth, and Rizzo who is like, "Can we watch a movie out here somewhere?"
Can I
Yeah.
say chopped a few more times this
Yeah.
episode? Okay, so maybe we should get into these tribe dynamics. Does that sound like a good idea? Because
Yeah.
this is it. Jeff Probst lands on the island with everyone, and he's like, "Look at me! Look at these high cheekbones! Look at my new haircut! It's great. Don't pay attention to a lot of flashbacks, okay? But I am here to survive with all of you," and gives an inspirational speech. But what does this really mean when they get their buffs? Jess, like, what does this mean? Like, can you run us through what is it? Sela, Kalo, and Vatu?
Mhm. Yeah, so they step on the island and obviously most of the people recognize each other, whether it's just from TV, whether it's for the like social outings that they do or whatnot. And so there are a few different ways that the tribes could have broken down. They could have done some sort of like new era, old era. They could have done men versus women, which they've done before. They could have done a completely random thing. But the tribes really were um, each tribe had a winner on it, like a previous winner. They have a combination of like old legends and new era people. They split with like each tribe has like a brain and like a super strong person, like a loudmouth, somebody who's going to be able to be the narrator for that tribe. Um,
But wait, can
so.
I ask a question?
Mhm.
Like, sorry, was did they say that verbally, like, at some point, or was it just sort of like, here are your people? I mean,
No,
it's obvious I mean, like, obviously, they wanna balance this out, but, like, how did they find that like, I guess I just don't understand truly how the groups were lumped together.
Sure. Well, they had put out a casting call for like so many previous players and had their like wish lists, and then some people were sort of told they were going to be on, but then they didn't fit. Like their archetype didn't fit. or like,
Mhm.
you know, there already were 3 of that archetype, so, you know, the 4th person wasn't gonna get on, and so I think it was more casting in that way, where it was like, "Okay, but, like, do we have enough underdogs? Do we have enough, you know, leaders? Do we have all that?" And I think that everybody has sort of a sense of what their own archetype is,
Got it.
um, and, like, is aware of that.
Okay.
It is interesting that, like, if you don't know each one of these tribes has a previous winner on it, like you, Molly, like, I think that changes how you look at these teams too, because I think there's a lot of people out there that would say, like, well, let's get out the people who've already won. They've already made their million. You know,
Yeah.
I don't need that. And that's all that always happens when there's return players. But also, like, you look at a Mike White and you're just like, dude, why I don't want you winning this at all.
I felt very frustrated that he was there, and I didn't like it because I understand that he wants to feel normal, and I feel this whole experience clearly is sort of religious for all of them. It's, like, reminded me of, like, this retreat we did in, when I was getting confirmed. It's called, like, Kairos, where you go, and it's basically, like, a fucking intense week, right? And I feel like these people keep wanting to return here to, like, work out something very personal for them, and I get that. Mike White should be allowed to have something like that. It just feels weird that it's also Survivor. I don't know.
Yes,
Like, how much
absolutely.
does one person need? Like, you go be in your own nature
Right.
experience. Like,
And now he's got abs.
Yes.
the abs took me away. I couldn't believe it.
God damn. Mike White, you're on my list. I'll tell you that right now. When he first played, his like claim to fame was that he wrote School of Rock.
Mhm.
And like, okay, I mean that's great. That's still a huge success, massive success. But now
Let
it's
that
different.
Mike White be on Survivor. That Mike White can write a movie and be on Survivor. I think having a show that is about very complex dynamics between wealthy and poor people on a tropical island and then going there and being a rich person, possibly about to win $1 million from people who could use it a lot more.
Yep.
There's some irony there for me.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it would be hilarious, but extremely disappointing if this was like an Amazon jury duty thing where everybody except for Mike White like had a script and they were just like playing to let Mike White win and then at the end be like, ha ha ha, like you didn't really win or like, you know, we did
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
I like that we're like, yeah, I think the ritual humiliation version would be a lot better. Like,
If it's
let's
just Mike
take
White,
this
though, you know.
crazy successful man and like delude him for for days on an island. It's you know what? Why not?
One thing I
I
did notice when they were doing a bunch of flashbacks, though, is we didn't get Jeff riding on a ski-doo in front of the Statue of Liberty after 9/11, which would have, I think we should have thrown that into the montage clip moment at some point.
I mean, sure. It wouldn't be worse than when the pedophile fell into the fire and had his face burned off. So,
See,
But
these
yeah, that
are
happened.
things that should have been put in the group chat for me before we watched, but now I have to
We're
like a
we're gonna
reward.
sprinkle them throughout the season, Molly. It's gonna be
Okay,
great.
great.
I do
So,
wanna I wanna circle back quickly for a sec. When you had, said the thing about the 3 winners and how,
mhm,
you know, like, wanting to go after them, that essentially, was Jenna Lewis's strategy on season 8 All-Stars. She immediately went after, the winner who returned, and successfully, like, got her out and was like, "Okay, guys, like, we're all on the same playing field now." And, like, you know, like, she was the first person to do that, and I think if anybody on this cast knows anything about her, that might be one of the main things that they know, and so, like, you know, Dee, Savannah, Kyle, like, they don't wanna see her coming.
yeah. Well, where should we move to after this? Maybe this like first challenge. Like we don't really have to get into the details, I guess, about the 3 people who go off, but it kind of sets the tone for how this season's going to run, right?
Yeah, like in terms of, there always being these like little journeys. That's another thing of the new era is that there are these journeys. And one big complaint about them is that oftentimes somebody will lose a vote. And on a regular season, when there's only 6 people starting off on a tribe, losing a vote, like basically, like you're going to get, I was going to say evicted, but you're going to get voted out.
You have to be
So,
extremely charismatic or a very good game player you just have to work harder
mhm.
to stay if you've lost your vote, because most people realize if you don't come back with anything, you've lost something. Like the way we get right later on when Rick Devens is like, well, Savannah didn't just keep her vote. We know
Right.
she's got something. I think the big thing here is that, Q kind of laid back in the cut, who I like Q. I mean, I think I like a lot of these people when I kept being like, oh yeah, I like Emily. I like Christian. But I forgot how fun Q can be. But he didn't really have much of a dynamic when it's a Coach versus Ozzy situation, which it explains in the whole episode, Ozzy kind of cost Coach the game by being that powerful speaker at the jury and the last tribal council. But it seems like they at least attempted for the camera to say, you know what, clean slate, water under the bridge. This is a new era of Survivor. Yeah, I don't know.
Coach framed it that way.
Mm-hmm.
However, Sophie Clark is one of the best winners of any of the seasons, and she won that
Sure.
season. Like Ozzy didn't steal Coach's victory. Sophie
Yeah.
Clark snatched that victory. She played dumb and let Coach be like proselytizing. Coach had like a cult that season. He like got a group of Christians and brought them together and played like religious cult leader. And
I do
Sophie
remember
played
him being a total weirdo.
Yeah, and Sophie played along and then at the end was like I'm like super smart, you dum dums, and I've just been laying back this whole time. Like she's a great winner.
Now, Coach was one of the people that stood out to me as someone who I know from the internet. I know the idea of them from the internet. There was a few people that I I knew their name, or I knew that they had a moment of like extreme popularity or where everyone was bagging on them, and I knew that Coach had been someone that was talked about a lot, and I didn't remember where my friends laid on either side of the issue with him, but there was a huge sentiment about it. And was it just that he was weird?
Um, he he's like a legend teller. He tells a lot of stories that um I don't know if you're watching the season of Love is Blind, but Alec on this season is telling a lot of stories and legends, much in the same way that Coach is sort of, exaggerating, hyperbolizing his,
Okay. Okay.
stories.
Coach
He's
went
his own
back to
hype
high
man.
school after he graduated to like hang out with the kids and tell them about college life.
Got it. Okay, I get it. All right.
Yeah. So we get some early tribe dynamics. Is there anything from that I don't want to like jump over too much, but I think we should talk about like how these dynamics are shaping up, because there was like one tribe, I forget which one, maybe the one D was on, we like didn't see much of it all, which
Mhm.
tends to happen when they're, you know, editing an episode together. Like they're not going to tell us something that has no outcome at this point, but it is interesting seeing all of these people meet each other. It's always kind of like, it's like first day of camp.
Mhm.
I gotta say that, like, Jenna, her whole approach to everything from the jump, it was so obvious to me that either if she wasn't gonna go home soon, that, like, the attitude she was coming in with was not sustainable for even getting close to maybe the top 10. It just,
Yeah.
like, it was so aggressive, and there's one girl, she has, like, dark hair and the stupid like, the ugly sweater,
Oh,
that she
Savannah.
Savannah or Genevieve maybe, but she and her
Oh,
like had a confrontation. She's like, "I don't like her energy." Like Jenna was, I need her to go to therapy. I was scared of her. I really was. Like the energy she came in with felt so unhealed, and like, there was parts of me that were like, was she really good, like, through psych? Like, is she okay?
I think that's the difference between a person who played on the first, one of the first 10 seasons versus, um, who we see now, and also, just like the evolution of reality TV and who we put on TV. Um, I,
That's
um,
true. That's a
I'm
very, very, very good point. And also, Molly, it was Savannah because Savannah and Jenna are on the same tribe, the Sela tribe.
Got it, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I, was just uncomfortable with the way she was moving, and she had said something at the very beginning about, like, how, "If you're here, you've done something. We've all got blood on our hands," and I was like, "I actually don't know if that's true, Jenna." I've never really seen this show, but she just was coming in at such a high temperature that
You're going to tell me Christian's got blood on his hands?
I know. If there's something, it felt very unregulated, and I'll just say that I say I know as if I know what you're talking about, and I don't. But I
Well, you get
will
the
say
vibe, you know.
I kind of get it. And then yeah, I think you're exactly right. That makes so much sense about what we used to allow on reality TV and what we used to cast for, and now I can see why they go for a little bit more of like an influencer type personality, someone who's more palatable when okay, fair. You're right. Those were the good old days of reality TV in some ways where we'd see someone truly kind of unglued. You had to be unglued to go on reality TV back then.
well, Jenna Lewis was my favorite person cast on this season. I I love her. She was my favorite on season 1. She was my favorite on season 8 when she lost to Boston Robin Amber. I love her. I think her energy is what is missing from current day Survivor. I think had she stayed, her and Savannah would have been an insane chaotic duo. They both actually have this like cutthroat energy that I actually felt like they were vibing, and that Savannah just like sort of took a step back so that she didn't get herself cut. Um, but the rest of the at least female like old school players aren't as cutthroat as Jenna is. So she didn't really have like a foil sort of or like a not a foil, but like a like a contemporary that
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know what they go through before they get there, and I'm sure that everyone has their own story, but I do think that there's something to be said about a person who can't recognize the moment that they're in versus the one that they want to be in.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel about Jenna was like, she can have all of that. She should, but like, if you read as crazy and volatile and cutthroat right at the very beginning compared to everyone else based on the temperature they're helping set, I I just don't know how that could ever be a winning strategy.
well, you also can't go for Cirie. Like
Yeah,
nobody on the beach other than Jenna would allow Cirie to be the first boot. Like
yeah.
like
I knew that, and she did
Yeah.
it.
it's not possible. Like even in Australia versus the World, which aired this summer, like even the international players no, Cirie needs to be here for at least a few episodes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're going to make it very hard to get like the superstars out of this show early. There's a reason why Parvati made it so far on Australia and why Parvati made it so far on like Deal or No Deal Island, right? Like these people are on this show for a reason. Now, I want to talk about Savannah a little bit while we're on the Sela tribe because Savannah won last season. So she's
Mhm.
had a very short turnaround along with Rizgod to be here. And Savannah is not my favorite player, and call this blinders, but I found it really odd. A story she told throughout last season was that she always, what was it? Just she always got made fun of at work, and people were always talking behind her back, and no one liked her at her job for absolutely no reason, to the point where she had to quit
Mhm.
because everyone hated her. And
Mm.
I don't like that happened at face value, but I'm also wondering, like, she doesn't really seem that bad that everyone just, like, out of the blue just is gonna get at an adult job, right? That seems weird.
Great. Well, I want to know what industry it was in because I
I
feel
think
like
she's
a
a
newscaster.
newscaster.
oh, well, I
weather
feel
per-
I completely believe her then. I completely
Okay.
believe her because I feel like it's so cutthroat in that world, and like
All
I
right.
think these station entertainment's very toxic. I think a job like that can be really toxic, and anytime someone like enters into like a close-knit family at like a station like that, they definitely could be targeted. But aren't there two news people on here? Because isn't Rick a
Rick Devens.
and I loved I know I'm cutting ahead, but I
That's okay.
loved him, and then I'm sorry, I don't know his name, the dork who was a father.
Christian?
Christian.
Yeah, I loved him. I thought he was so great, and then I loved Emily, and I don't know anything about her. Her name kinda sounds a little bit familiar, but the 3 of them, I was just like, "That's good vibes, that's who I would wanna be friends with on here."
Yeah.
I mean that's the nerd squad.
Yeah.
So, Emily is a new era player who, on her first season, came out basically Jenna Lewis style and was just like, firing off missiles at everybody. And
That's shocking to me.
I know,
But she was
luckily,
like essentially kept as a shield the entire season until she realized, like, oh, this isn't how I should play. And like she
yeah,
had this like come to Jesus moment, and then everyone's like, oh yeah, I kind of like this Emily lady.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, what a
Yeah.
journey for her.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it is a journey for her.
Was she the
Um,
one who you sent me a little pre-interview clip of the show, Just, and
yes,
she was the one who was like, "I don't think Mike White should be here."
No,
I
I
think
don't
that
think
was
so.
her. I
Was it?
think it was. I think it might have been
I
because
mean,
I know.
I definitely think she could have said that. I just don't remember if it was her.
Yeah.
But
Well,
absolutely.
any other dynamics between the other two tribes? The only other person I want to talk about is just Christian giant Jonathan, who had a moment where he didn't understand unconscious bias in his season, and I hope he's grown and learned from that. But I forgot like how Christian that guy is, and I think he's like the sort of guy who will go to a high school and like rip phone books in half and be like, and this is the power of God that helps me do this sort of thing. That's what I get from him.
Wait, what's his name? I thought his name
Jonathan,
Jonathan.
John,
Okay, sorry. Okay. Yes, I
the
know
big burly giant.
the
Yeah,
one they're like, he's like 10 people.
Yeah.
yeah, and that's kind of like why we don't even see his tribe most of the time. But this
Got it.
episode, they didn't
Yeah.
have anything they needed to do.
Before we leave the Sela tribe, I do want to talk about Cirie and Ozzy.
Sure, yeah,
In my absolute number one favorite season, Micronesia, season 16, fans versus favorites, Cirie orchestrated an absolutely incredible blindside on Ozzy. Ozzy is a sore loser. He is bitter.
yes,
He doesn't get over things. Like, as you know, hearing from Coach about like the final tribal where Coach thinks that Ozzy tanked his game. That wasn't even Ozzy's first time trying to tank someone's game at Final Tribal Council. He tried to do it to Parvati on season 16. Like, Ozzy does not get over things. I think that he at least realizes he's outnumbered, amongst the rest of the cast and has to tie himself to Cirie. And I think this is great for Cirie because with the two of them together, people I think are going to be like, well, Ozzy's going to win challenges and Cirie's just going to hang around. So we can break them up. Let's get rid of Ozzy first. So I think it's a great meat shield for her. That's what it's called, a meat shield.
Yeah, yeah. The one thing I think, if we go to the Vatu for a second, because we don't really need to go through all of these dynamics, but I think it's important to talk about the Genevieve versus Aubrey tension, because I remember really liking Aubrey, but I have this this problem watching these shows where I remember the people and I remember absolutely nothing about what happened on the season. And I remember liking Aubrey when I've seen her on the show. And Genevieve was just like, was she 2 seasons ago?
She's 47.
Yeah, so 2 seasons ago, or 3. But I remember she was kind of didn't she isolate herself a lot? She might
Yeah,
have been
she did.
48, but either
So
way.
Genevieve was the person who said that she, I have to paraphrase, but it was like, I would rather be like the friendless person out here than the best friend who's crushing everyone's dreams. Because there was an early vote her season of one of her friends where she had to turn on him. And as the guy was leaving, he was like, basically like, Genevieve, I trusted you. I think it was Banu. And it really affected her. And she became sort of like closed up for the rest of the game. But you could like always see like the machinations like in her, like the wheels were always turning. And it was like, what's she going to do next? What's she going to do next? And I think like she comes into this season like with a very high threat level. And I do think that her and Aubrey are sort of the same type of player. But Genevieve is more low key and I think has a better just overall reputation than Aubrey.
Okay.
Because Q hates Aubrey. I don't know if you know that. He
I
hates
didn't know
her.
that.
Why?
Yeah. He does not like how she plays. And on Q's
Because he shouted her
season,
out. Yes.
On Q's season, a girl on his tribe, her favorite player was Aubrey, and Q voted her out just because of that.
Wow.
Just because. So
What the
having them
hell?
on a tribe together is diabolical, and I love it.
That's amazing. Any other dynamics we should talk about before we move on?
Well, I do think that having Angelina, Stephenie, Genevieve, and Aubrey, like that's a very interesting cross section of women on the same tribe. Stephenie's ultra MAGA, and like just very recently has had like a drunken anti-Semitic rant on the internet.
Nuh-uh. Let me look up because I don't know. So, I mean, when I get
Because
to my
she's
advice
posted
part,
her.
I don't even have to say allegedly. Like,
Yeah, she posted her like, remember when I already gave an apology? Here, I'm gonna repost it now. I saw that the other day. Ooh.
yeah, she's a nasty.
oh, interesting. Okay, so I was wondering if they were maybe not going to bring on people that had that in their background, and I think it's more interesting that they didn't, unfortunately.
Well,
But
so she was MAGA, but like this anti-Semitic rant where the Jews run all the media happened after she played, but before it aired.
got it.
But during her like original or second season, like way back around like season like 10 or 11, she like did say about somebody like he's just so gay, like he's so gay.
Oof.
Which like,
but it was
but Angelina is probably like the most liberal person on this whole cast. Is like so diehard like Democrat that I don't know if those two realize this about each other, and I really want them to realize it because I really want to watch that.
Great. I mean, you're stuck on an island with someone. I'm sure it's going to come up by next episode.
I mean, that's classic Survivor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it was sort of the point of the show.
Oh God, I'm just remembering like there's a lot of stuff I could do. I'm not even going to bring it up because it'll come up inevitably anyway. Molly, anything between these tribes that you still had questions or anything like that?
Not right now. I feel like we're safe to move on, but I might have questions again.
Sure.
I do think, even though we didn't get to see them a lot, that Kalo tribe, whatever. I think that Mike White and Dee are about to become best friends. Like Dee is getting the White Lotus spot. When Mike asked her if her chompers were hers.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing.
It was amazing, but it also was so familiar, and also not just like, like as a woman, not just like the gay guy that asks you a question that's so wildly fucking inappropriate that like you just answer it because you're like, you got to be brave to ask me that. Like, I'll answer you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to do it on TV and be like, are your teeth fucking fake? Like, is crazy to me. And it's like she probably does have some sort of like celebrity veneers or something. Like I'm like, I just felt
She
so
won, right? Like,
wild.
isn't
Yeah, she won.
that's like
I'm a
I
little
made $1 million.
surprised.
I'm fixing my grill, you know.
I'm a little surprised by, again, sort of my feelings about Mike White, because I didn't want to hold his fame against him, as weird as that is, but I'm just sort of like, oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I've never asked any person that question before, so but like
and I
that,
don't
I mean,
plan on it.
it was really fun. It was really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that they have like a good banter going. And I think like she's clever, so I think that they could bounce off of each other, and they have different strengths.
And Mike's put a handful of people from Survivor in White Lotus, but never in like main character roles. They're always just like guests at the hotel.
They're like ordering at a restaurant or sunning by the
Yeah.
pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't
But
know that.
Angelina got a line, right? Or
Yeah,
Angelica.
Angelina was in it.
Wait.
Angelina.
Angelina.
Yep.
I was thinking Vanderpump Rules for a second. Angelica. Okay. Where to next? Immunity challenge?
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we're at about the halfway point. We should get there. Look, Jess, you told us this before we hit record, that the challenges are kind of rinse repeat, right? And
Mhm.
for any new listeners, can you just relay that message, because we don't want to waste time on like who gets stuck in the mud, right?
And honestly, there's other people that have probably told you, like, recapped this beat by beat already, right? Like, I'll just
The-
say, I'll add on to this. No, you explain the challenges, and then I'll say what I want to say about challenges in general.
There's only two notes from this challenge that matter. One is that Kyle ruptured his Achilles, and two, that Cirie sucked. Those are the only things that matter.
Mm-hmm.
And like you were saying regarding like rinse repeat, is like they do the same sort of challenges over and over again on every season, and it's like not always the most interesting.
Yeah, and particularly the first challenge of every season involves mud, and everybody complains about it because, as I said, in the past 10 seasons, we haven't had returning players. So in the first episode, we're still trying to learn people's names, and then they throw mud all over them, and we can't tell who's who. But obviously now, because they're returning, we know who they are, but it's some sort of like obstacle course where, like each person has a different thing to do. And then it culminates in a puzzle. And depending on if you have the one or two smart people on your team, you'll win. Because like there have been some massive, massive come from behind things. So it's sort of like, it's almost like if you don't have a puzzle person, like you're kind of screwed.
But I
Yeah.
also feel like they say, oh, you went to a science college, so you are going to be good at puzzles. You should do that. And it's like, not
Yeah,
really. I mean, like, sometimes it's just like, does someone know how to do a fucking puzzle? Do you get that, like, how these work? Are you going to get flustered or not flustered? Like, it doesn't really matter. And I hate how they try and put it into like, oh, Christian, you should definitely be on the puzzle. No, Christian should be on the puzzle because he's not going to throw a baseball very far. That's
Yeah.
the reason why he shouldn't.
That's such a good point, Rob. Well, okay, my thing with challenges in general on all of these shows, and we just wrapped up Traitors, and we wrapped up before that. We talked about how we talked about Special Forces. Like whenever I watch these shows, I am so uninterested in the double dare of it all. Like, give me an endurance challenge where someone has to withstand something. Like I know they do that pole thing on this show, right? But for the most part, like, I'm just not interested in seeing someone like flop around in a canoe. Like,
Yeah.
I
Right.
would rather see how they sort of deal with the personal challenges of living in the jungle and what that dynamic looks like. I think that, like, this is why I'm a good candidate for like Big Brother live feeds, is I want to be in the granular more than I want to be in sort of, can this old lady like throw a ball between two sticks? I don't really care.
Right.
You know?
And they So they obviously used to have like, different challenges, and oftentimes it depended on where the location was of the filming, like they would make it special to that area or whatever. Um but a lot of them were like head to head. So it was like, okay, like you tribe pick somebody to go against this person, and then they would be like on a dock in the ocean with like jousting sticks, like trying
Yeah,
to
it
hit each
used to
other
be
off
violent.
like into the water, or they play like some sort of like almost like water polo, but like not totally.
Or
Um,
like what was the game where it was almost like a basketball type game,
yeah,
but two people were
it was
tied
tackle
together.
basketball.
Yeah, it was tackle basketball, and people were tied together
Hmm.
sometimes from
Yeah.
opposite tribes, and it would be like four people, and so you could only go so far. Like they were capital C challenges.
But then even like besides that, I don't know why they don't do this anymore. They used to do these things where it was like, okay, like everybody like throw a dart at the wall, and if you hit a balloon, then you get to like put an X on someone's name, and if somebody gets three
Yeah.
X's, you're out. And so you would have to watch people openly target other people, and so you could get a sense of tribe dynamics that way, without having to go to tribal council. And that whole element has been taken away because there's no like intra targeting like during
And I
challenges. And
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 this
like
leads
there's no
me
risk of injury in those.
so it leads me to my thought that I think with 50 and like we're getting like sound cues from early seasons like old music and stuff like that. I feel like this is them playing with the idea throughout this season. I'm just calling it now that we're going to see some more old school stuff this season
Like
that
Exile
play
Island.
like Exile Island playing into the new school, because if it's just new school players versus old school players, like obviously new school players have an advantage just because of recency bias. And I think it's going to be fun to see some of those like Xing out people's names, seeing tribe dynamics happening, and I look forward to that happening. But Sela loses pretty much because of Cirie, and I don't know how they choose who does what. I think it's just the teams choose to do that, but
I I can speak to
oh,
so in Australia versus the World, which taped 5 months
yes.
before this, Cirie did that challenge, the monkey's
Oh,
paw
yeah.
thing, and like did not take 20 full minutes on it during that season. She did it pretty quick. So I think that she probably was like, oh, I just did this and like did it, like I
Yeah.
can do it. There was a different element to this one, like something with like
They had to
more
go over
ropes.
like a fence,
Yeah,
which yeah.
like there was something that was just a little bit harder. Um, but like essentially she should have been like buried in with somebody. Like she should have been with like the strong person, like pushing the cage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because all she would have to do is just like push the cage, and like the strong person could do most of it.
Well, let's
And it's
talk
in
about
the
the pre
benefit of everyone to do that, right? Like if you want to keep her around, then help her out. And like it's a better, I don't know, it's a better sign, but I think like she would have had to have been taller if with
Yeah,
that
that's
added fence
I
in,
think
you
in the
know.
longer arms, like the people with the like you saw Aubrey ended up just overhand throwing it, and
Right.
that's how
Yeah.
she got it.
And you also have to think about diminishing returns. So like the first 5 minutes, maybe she's coming close, but by minute 20, it's like, whoa, she might like never do it because she's
Yeah,
been doing it for so long at this point. And that would happen with like anybody, not just her.
for
But
sure. We should talk about the pre-tribal scramble for
hmm
Sela now, and this is where we can go back and say that on Exile Island, when Ozzy and Q stayed there at before they left, there was one pile of supplies, and whoever took it had to lose their vote and give it to the other person. So Ozzy went back with nothing except an extra vote for himself, which he shares solely with Cirie. Did he have to use it? Did he use it this tribal? I
no,
don't
he
think he
didn't.
did.
There was a confessional from him saying that he really hopes he wasn't going to have to use it for Cirie, and then he didn't.
That's right.
And the extra vote can be like used on anyone, but that Billie Eilish idol that he got can only be used for himself, which actually kind of sucks because idols often get played like for someone else to save somebody else.
Let's
Wait,
talk
can
about
I
that,
ask?
Molly.
I
Yeah.
need to talk about this. So, okay, I know that they had done some sort of preseason thing with Mr. Beast. And obviously, also, I know that there's tons of celebrity fans of Big Brother, right? It's like, this is what you get when you're the longest running show, right? But I was stunned that there was a celebrity themed, or I guess a gift from a celebrity, and I'm wondering how much more we're gonna see of that. Like I was like very excited thinking about who we could get next. Is that
Or whose
going to
name
be
we
the
could get
theme?
printed on a piece of parchment.
There's
Yeah,
going to there's
exactly.
going to be a Jimmy Fallon thing.
Yeah, there's a
Okay.
Jimmy Fallon thing.
And then also Mr. Beast did Reciprocity with the Beast Games. That's on Amazon.
Okay.
Where Beast Games came to the Survivor Island and did a competition and then like voted one of the Beast people out. And so I believe that Jimmy Beast, whatever his name is, will be coming during an episode.
God,
And-
that's going to
and-
be so surreal for them, especially Rizzler, because that is it. Can you just imagine being in this world and all of a sudden Mr. Beast shows up like this humanoid?
Can you imagine being Colby and being like, what the F is a Mr. Beast and a Riz God?
Yeah.
Like, didn't everybody just name their kids Colby after I was on TV?
Yeah, can't
20
I
years
just
ago?
lift some bags of sand
Wait,
and like
what?
keep playing?
What's with that? Like a lot, like that, but it became
That's
most
the
popular
era of
name
TV that
in
we
the
were
world.
talking about. Like, since it was appointment television watching, like it was more important, and it was so important, some people named their kids after him.
But Jeff made sure to say that. Was there a Colby baby boom that year?
Yes,
Interesting. Well,
but also it not like there's no like Riz God baby boom happening.
There also was an epic appearance on a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode
Yes.
with Colby where they were arguing over what a survivor meant in terms of like
Holocaust,
the Holocaust
yeah,
or
yeah.
the TV show Survivor.
Yeah, because
in, like,
he
the
gets
early
invited to a
2000s.
dinner, and they're like, "We're gonna have a survivor at the dinner," and yeah.
I remember this one, but now it's making so much more sense. I think
Yeah.
and also that's the best part of Curb is like there's so many. I still have
So
six I
this-
haven't watched.
This Billie Eilish boomerang idol, that's a mouthful.
Mm-hmm.
It's just her name on the parchment saying, "I love Survivor, and now you've got an idol." And it works in the way that Genevieve finds it, gives it to Ozzy on another team. If Ozzy gets voted out with the idol in his pocket, if he doesn't use it, it goes back to her and she can use it like any old idol on herself, on someone else. Doesn't matter. Like you said, Jess, Ozzy can only use it on himself.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit of strategy there, but I'm more focused on the fact that they had to pay. Like, this is all what they needed, what I wanted them to do. And this is where I got real riled up watching the show. Is we know that when they do their confessionals, they are alone. Like, production walls it off. No one can come up to production. At that point, I would have loved to see them like bring out a little CRT TV and they get the message from
Yes.
Billie Eilish. That would be a fun, like, pre-recorded message. That would make it mean something to me.
I would hate that, Rob. I don't know why.
But you
It
like
would feel
just
too
having the
surreal.
name on the parchment?
Yeah, because I think it's funnier. It's like
Well,
it
yes,
leaves you
but-
with more to wonder. Like I'm wondering, I mean, like, did she come up with this herself? Like,
No.
what's her
I mean,
survivor
they-
journey like? Like, I mean, is she watching this now? It just left me with more questions. But you're right, Rob. It would be better television.
Only
if they
because
brought
I
out a
know
tiny
what
TV.
Survivor is, and Survivor is safe, right? Like, they're never gonna try and pull a fast one on you. Jeff Probst has said over and over again, recently, I don't want villains on the show because I want it to be a family show.
Mm-hmm.
And so, why have a Billie Eilish Like at that point, just have it be like Sony Music presents the Boomerang Idol, right?
Right. Wait, I have a question about Jeff. One of my friends said something last night, and I couldn't really unpack it, but it was about Survivor, and they said, "Oh, like, Molly, wait till you watch, like, and then wait till Jeff starts going crazy later in the
No.
season and screaming at them." And I was like, "Jeff screams at them?" Because I've only heard that he's like dad vibes, and like I've only really ever seen him go viral for being like sensitive. So I
He
didn't know
screams
that
at them a way a football coach screams at them.
he did that
Right?
in the challenge, and I wouldn't like
Yeah.
that either. I was thinking like I would not respond well under that pressure.
Yeah. But what we get in this scramble essentially, and Jeff can be really sarcastic and really like pointed and really like cut you down if you're talking a lot of bullshit. And that's always good, I should say. But what we get in this scramble is essentially it comes down to two people, which I think is something not just new era, but like I remember watching back on the first season where it was kind of like, well, my memory of it is, well, you just don't know who it's going to be. You never know. It was edited so that you like really couldn't trace a line.
Mm-hmm.
And now it is really like formulaic in the sense that like, let's get it down to a couple people. Like, is it going to be Cirie? Is it going to be Jenna at this point? Which I guess makes it a little bit easier and makes it more fun when it's a total like audience blindside. But yeah, it basically gets to that. Any highlights, Jess, that you think from this? Like I know Ozzy tries to like get people, and I guess it kind of works at one point. But do you think it was Ozzy politicking that got it to work?
No, I think that like Christian's coded language of saying what kind of story are we trying to tell, and
Yeah.
what happens when we go to like the next immunity challenge and they see who's not here. That was basically like a friendly dog whistle that we're not voting out Cirie because like we're not going to be the 5 people in this game who voted out Cirie and then screw ourselves for the rest of the game because everyone's
Yeah.
going to be like, that's so cold that you did that.
You got out Cirie.
And
Not only do we all like Cirie,
yeah,
but also like we want this season to be good, right? We want people to like this season
and watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but either Jenna or Savannah should have been the boot because Savannah is the newest player and her only existing relationship is Rizzo. And then Jenna, even though she's from season 1 and 8, has no friends on the cast, like nobody, and stays out of the Survivor world. What I didn't like is that they did the thing where they target the 2 older women in the beginning of the show. So like at least it wasn't a person of color.
Said, oh my God, when Jenna said that Cirie can't swim or run, and I was like, and she's like,
it was so rough.
I was like, I was like, this is crazy. Like this is like last week talk. You know what I mean?
And
it's a person playing for $1 million. That's what it is.
And it is like one of those things where if your argument is we don't have to go to tribal if we win challenges,
that's the
then
argument.
Why would we keep someone who's potentially a liability? But that argument can work in so many ways too, right? Because a lot of people win this show who lose a lot of challenges. So
that's what Emily was saying during the tribal council when Jeff was asking her about what characteristics are you looking for when you're voting somebody out, and she was saying how like some person's strategy for this person is a different strategy for somebody else, or like this person's strengths for me are not strengths. We don't all see each other's strengths the same way. So like Emily was like, let's get rid of Ozzy. That's great for me to have Jenna and Cirie here. And she's right.
Yeah. Now, Jenna gets voted out, and the last thing I'll say is that I think if Jenna wouldn't have come so strong for Savannah, I'm with you. Or Jenna wouldn't come so strong for Cirie, Savannah would have been out. I think she's newest on, she won, she doesn't have any connections. It would have been an easy out for everyone and no one would have blood on their hands. I think people feel guilty that they got Jenna out, like season 1.
I think it's so disappointing that it wasn't Savannah. Nothing against Savannah, but just I literally saw her 2 months ago. Like I've been waiting like 20 years for Jenna.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And then we get an epilogue where Kyle also has to leave because his Achilles tendon is ruptured, which was so disappointing.
I'm gonna be honest with you. When I first saw Kyle fall, I said that seems real. Then I was
Yeah.
confused by the test result where they're like, he seems fine. And I'm like, I don't know. He seems pretty I don't know. That seemed pretty concerning the way he
Yeah.
just felt to me. Then I see him in like kind of chilling in the little tent area. And if that doctor hadn't come out and said your Achilles burst, I was going to be like, is he faking? I was going to carry this into the next episode with a
Yeah.
grudge. It
that
seemed
has
like
happened before.
I would imagine. I'm like, come on, of course, right? There has to be someone who's going to like fake a weakness or something. First episode would be kind of crazy, but
Sure. But Kyle was great, and Kyle was
Yeah.
a wonderful player to win. Like, Molly, that season would be so much fun for you because him and what's her name, Camilla, like they had a secret alliance the entire time and did not talk about it. It was
he
awesome.
referenced that, right?
Yeah.
Yes. However, that is, in my opinion, the second to worst Survivor season ever. That season is so bad. I think like in Camilla in her confessional was like, I just had to play with all these people who did honor and integrity. Like, oh, and it's true. It's true. Like that whole season was just like, it was just like, no,
White
like
knights all over
like
the place.
the honor wins. Like we can't backstab. But Kyle and Camilla like did do something like really unique and like fun to watch. Unfortunately, it was the only thing that was fun to watch of that season, in my opinion.
Well, Molly, I mean, does anyone have any final thoughts that we haven't touched on before we get to our final segment of the show?
Yeah, somebody needs to start a GoFundMe for Chrissy so she can afford HBO Max.
Yeah. How about HBO Max getting the name drop on a Paramount show?
I wanted to say that one, I think it's very funny the clothing that each person decides to pack. And also because like you're stuck with it and that's like your last piece of reasonable clothing. But also it is so funny to watch how quickly people get in various states of like jungle. Like some people by the second day were like really in it. Like they already looked sunburnt and like their hair was crazy and they had like mud and dirt on them. And then some people like still like Rick looked like he could take a dive in the ocean and then hop back out and he'd look complete like he'd been just fine this whole time. So I think it's interesting to see how far certain people are like really delving into the lifestyle there and like sort of getting rid of all vanity, or maybe how some people are just more, I don't know, like dirt people. Like
Some
they're
of the
more,
some of the people are wearing like nods to their past seasons. Like Ozzy wore camouflage before, so he's in camouflage again. So like some of the, I don't know if it was like a directive or just people were like whimsical and decided to like, oh, like I'm best known in this outfit.
And
Because
sometimes you don't even get a choice to what you're
Right.
wearing.
But like in the olden days, you
Really?
could only bring like one outfit. So it was like, we like really only know you in that one single jacket. So
Yeah.
got it.
Savannah's big, puffy, like cable knit sweater she wore last season.
it's like an
so that's why-
Afghan.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What a bold choice.
Well, the podcast is called Plz Survive. Molly,
Yeah, let
do you
me
want?
explain
Yeah.
that. So I used to host a podcast called Please Advise, but we were tossing around names for this. For some reason, Plz Survive just came to mind. But the concept of Please Advise would be that, myself and a guest and my producer would give advice on various calls and letters that we got. Completely not qualified to do so, but we had a lot of fun with it. And I think we genuinely helped some people. And some people I know were like, I didn't write in to get roasted. So that said, I know that we're willing to take advice or questions from you if you want. Contact at pleaseadvise.com. Send us a voice
Please
note or
survive.
something. Oh, contact at pleasesurvive.com. Sorry. If you send us a voice note or a email, we'll read it on the show. But we thought it would be fun to like log off each episode with just each of us giving about a minute of advice to someone on the show or someone involved in the show or whatever, what we would say to them.
Yeah, and I think we've all got our own person. I feel like I've been like talking a lot. So, Molly, I would love for you to set the bar on this one, if
Sure.
that's cool.
So this is for the producers. I feel like you are leaving out a huge portion of your potential audience by not clearly labeling every player's name at every opportunity during the first episode. It's taking for granted that everyone who's watched is familiar with all prior seasons and knows exactly how to watch this show. And maybe they don't want to bring in a new audience, and that would be interesting in a television first, I'd say. But I feel like there should have been names when they arrived at the island, when they started the tribes. I wanted to see the tribe name on the side of the screen in a graphic with each player's name underneath. You don't have to put a picture next to it, too, but I'd like an idea of who the hell these people are. And that was really missing for me. You know, I remember when Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were recently out promoting their movie, The Rig. They said that Netflix basically made them sort of reiterate the plot like 3 or 4 times in the first half of the movie so that, you know, because so many people now watch TV when they're looking at their phones. And while I was not looking at my phone, I was thinking this does say something about sort of my media consumption and behavior overall. And I think that I'm very common in this world, right? So, um, I don't think it's a bad idea to reiterate and put up titles consistently throughout. And I wish that you would allow me to be a little bit more a part of the experience in that way.
Yeah. Just, you're the expert. Do you want to go next or do you want to go last? I think you should go last, but I'm happy
Sure.
to do whatever you'd like.
Yeah, you go.
My advice is for one Mr. Jeff Probst. Jeff, you've been doing this for years. You're getting a little cocky, I would say. Now, I think you mean well, and I think that you have succeeded beyond a shadow of a doubt of someone who can show run, create, and keep it alive. It's obviously a very successful show, but I think you're in the thick of it right now. And season 50 is going to be a real deciding point on what's going to happen for the rest of Survivor. You have kind of laid out, put all the cards on the table, all the chips on the table, and you're either going to go back to what's safe, that you know works, even if there are some people that don't like New Era, or you're going to take some big risks and you're going to create the best show that's ever existed. Now, are you willing to take that risk? It might take some thinking. You might have to talk to some friends about this. You don't have to make the decision on your own, Jeff Probst. And another thing I would like to say regarding season 50 as a whole, kind of to what Molly is saying, Jeff, you need to hold our hand in these first few episodes, but you do not need to treat us like children. Okay? I understand there might be a 9-year-old watching with their parents and you want to have inspiration, but you don't have to dumb it down in terms of the language and in terms of the like saccharineness to the show. That's going to come out. Like the heartfelt stories, the people, what they want to talk about, that's going to happen. You don't have to force it. That's what I have to say to one Mr. Jeff Probst.
Bold, Rob. I like it. I like that you're coming at Jeff. By
Thank
the way,
you.
you guys, I have a Jeff Probst collectible playing cards that I bought for each one of you. And Jessica, I'll mail it to you and Rob, but expect it to take a while because I've just been trying to remember to give it to Rob, who lives here for a while now. Jess, I want to hear your advice though, because I know that if anyone can address someone or something involved with this show and give them something meaningful to hear, it would be you. So sound off.
Hey, this is for the Vatu tribe. Genevieve girl, do not run away from Aubrey. She will be your shield. People like you better than they like Aubrey. Aubrey has been on the show like 1,000 times. So partner up with her because people will take Aubrey out first. And while you're at it, grab Angelina, who's also on your tribe, and bring her in. This is a really dynamic threesome woman, like, triumvirate that also, they all still have their votes. This is a tribe where Kyle got medevaced, Colby doesn't have a vote, and Q doesn't have a vote. So if Angelina, Genevieve, and Aubrey get together, they can vote out anybody that they want. Obviously, they don't have the same insight that we have. But I do think that at the moment, I don't understand why Genevieve is partnering with Stephenie and Colby. I'm not really sure, what she thinks they're bringing to the table, but I think switch her alliance, girl.
Okay. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure I fully understand it yet, but that's going to be the fun of this show. Guys, thanks for introducing me to Survivor. I feel like I'm in really good hands.
Yeah, this is going to be great. I really enjoyed talking about this with both of you, and I really do want to encourage listeners to contact at plzsurvive.com. We want to give you advice, and we want to just hear your thoughts on the show, who you're rooting for, everything. If you were blindsided, and we're a new podcast. And so we do need some dang old 5-star reviews written, if you can do that too. And you know what? If you don't even want to leave a review, then share this episode with your group chat. Tell everyone out there who likes Survivor, because frankly, there's a lot of Survivor podcasts, but we might be the best.
Yeah, we'll read a review. As soon as we get our first review, we'll read it. But Jessica, you also set up social medias for the show. Where should people follow?
So far, we have Plz Survive Pod on Instagram, and we also have Plz Survive Pod on Blue Sky.
Hell yeah.
So that's where we're up and running at the moment.
Let's get a TikTok too.
Let's get a TikTok too. All right. This
All
is
right,
great.
you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Jess, thanks. You're the best. Rob, you're the best.
And
Molly,
you
you're the
both are
best.
Yes.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.